Hello, botany students, and today I'm going to be demonstrating how we are going to set up and make our tomato lab. All right, so let's get going. All right, so the first thing we have to do in our tomato lab is we've got to fill this planter and set up this 4-quadrant planter correctly. So let me bring it over and show you what I have done. So we are going to be planting our tomatoes in one of these 4-quadrant I call it a 4-quadrant plastic divider. So you will notice on one side of it, because two of our quadrants or our sections of 4 are going to be what we would call our control group. And you've noticed this if you've read through the lab, so make sure you read through that procedure. Because 2 of our quadrants are going to receive our normal treatment. And here I am choosing to use water amount as my independent variable. Okay, so water amount is my independent variable. My normal, or my control, is 10 milliliters of water, which I'll add to each of these two ones in front there. All right. So notice also that I have them labeled A and B, so I can tell them apart. This is very important, so you don't forget which is which going forward. On the other side, in my other 2 quadrants, I have, on that side, it says 50 mils, so 50 milliliters. Notice that I have labeled these C and D, so they are different from the other side. So each of my 4 quadrants is properly labeled. Okay, so, and 50 mils is not going to be my control group, but that's going to be my test group. And the reason why that is because I think that's probably much more water than tomato seeds maybe should or would normally get in each sitting or each watering. So, and I declared that to be my test group. So you have to kind of state which is which. All right. So you folks at home, if you chose water amount, you could take data from me or one of the students in class who is doing water amount. All right. So let's get to the actual planting process. All right. So I've got this planter, 4 quadrants. Now I need to go ahead and add some soil. So I'm going to go ahead and go in this bucket, scoop it out. Hopefully I don't make too big of a mess, but I'm just going to go ahead, scoop it out, and kind of fill these about 3/4 full. Each of these quadrants about 3/4 full. So I'm overflowing right now, and I'll bring this over and show you in a second what this looks like. So let me pat it down nice and good. We want to make sure the soil isn't overflowing so that we don't contaminate essentially our control versus our test groups. So pat that soil down gently, get it nice and firm. I'll bring this over so you can kind of see the consistency of what we've got here. All right, so we've got this. We've got a kind of a lawn of dirt here. You're going to pat it down nice and gently. And the next step is you're going to make 2 kind of finger holes or depressions in each of these 4. So it might be kind of hard to see. I apologize. I'm making 2 kind of depressions, 2 holes. This is where our seeds will go. We want them to be as far apart from each other as possible so they're not competing over nutrients. So we go 1, 2, and 1, 2. Now I will grab some seeds, and these are old seeds, so we're going to see if they germinate and grow, but it's a good experiment in and of itself. So let's try it. So we're going to have a total of 8 seeds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exact same seeds from the same type of long keeper tomato packets. All right, so let's grab our seeds. I'll show you what the seeds look like. They come in this kind of tiny container. They are very tiny. They are pretty hard to even see on the finger. They're about the size of about a fingernail in width here, so they're very tiny. So I'm going to plant them. I apologize if you can't see this part real well. So go 1 in here. You get a couple more. I'm going to need 8 total. 1 in here. I need 6 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, And 2 more. And our last quadrant still needs seeds. 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, my counting got off there and I realized that. So now you can see on the top of our thing, we have seeds in all of our different locations. So you might be able to see them, might not, but they're teensy tiny little things. Okay, so now we're gonna cover those seeds up with some dirt. Just give them a good covering. So kind of just take it and sprinkle dirt over them to cover the seeds so that they're not exposed to the air. Germination will be better under kind of moist conditions. So I got some big chunks of soil here. So kind of pat them down. Now they say that you should use kind of a growing mix. I'm just using standard potting soil here. So if soil was my variable instead of water, I would have 2 of potting and 2 of perhaps sandy soil. So that was an option as well. I'm just showing you the water amount one. All right, so let's go back. Our seeds are now planted in here. So let's set that down. And now I have to measure out the amount of water. So I'm going to take a graduated cylinder, and I've got a funnel here just because pouring into a graduated cylinder can be difficult. You don't want to just pour from a watering can, remember? If you just do that, you're not measuring the amount of water. We've got to measure the amount of water. So this might be easier said than done from a big watering can like this. But, actually I'm going to go get a beaker. I've got a handy dandy beaker here off screen. Nice 1,000 ml beaker. So let's go ahead and get some water. Let's get about that much. That's good. Beaker. Now we're measuring out the water. Let's get 10 mils here. Oh, we got more than 10. I guess we'll do our 50 mils first. Pour carefully. All right, that looks about 50 mils. You don't have to be, have an expert amount of precision, but essentially you're going to want to get as close as you can. So now make sure we're on our 50 mil side. Bring this over. On our 50 mil side, make sure we're on that side. We're going to go ahead and we're going to pour right in there. And you got to kind of wait for it to settle a bit. And 50 mils already looks like it's going to be quite a lot. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and actually revise this right away. Instead of 50, we are going to do, well, actually, let's see if we can get 50 in there. You just kind of have to pour and wait for it to settle out, and some of it's dripping on the floor, so I'll go back over the table. We'll get all 50 mil in here. We'll do it. It'll just take a second. So the water's flowing out the bottom. That's okay. In lab, you would have a plastic flat that would go underneath it. All right. We'll wait for that a second as it's pooling on the table. That's all right. Science is messy. Just like ideas are messy. All right. I feel like we're flooding these seeds, but I would say 50 mils is probably on the higher end of water that you would want to go. You'd probably only want to go 10 to 20, but for sake of experiment. Water is the only resource that seeds need to germinate, so these are not going to be kept in the light until hopefully they do germinate. So let's go ahead and keep adding water. Okay, we have reached our 50. I will now measure out another 50 for that other side, and I would say at least half of that water honestly might have come out the bottom end. So 10 seems to be a more realistic, which is why we called it our normal amount, right? So let's go ahead and add our 50 to the other side. Being careful to try not to get it to overflow into the other quadrants, because then that would throw off how much water was getting to those quadrants. So we'll water it, let it kind of settle. Water it again, let it kind of descend and settle. All right, this one's going quicker. Now, if you had sandy soil, be pretty permeable, so it just go right through. Sandy soil does not hold water well, but it lets it pass through really well. It's a well-drained soil, we would say. That's what our aloe vera and other desert-tolerant plants would prefer. Okay, so we've got this all good, set up. Now, let's do our 10 mils. This will go a bit quicker because it doesn't take as long to not only pour it, but okay, so that's about 10 mils. And I want to make sure I sprinkle it around so both of the seeds get some water. 10 mils, 10 mils. And this is going to be pretty cool to track. I'll probably take a picture of this on day one, and we'll see what it looks like later on in the semester. So this won't be like a big, part of the grade. This will be an ongoing project for us to do throughout the year. I've got water cooling towards the edge of the table, but that's okay. I'm going to grab a paper towel, and I will show you the last steps. So now that everything's set up, most of this experiment, the hard thing is just getting the supplies and setting up. So we've got our water in our container. We've got that all set up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cover this to essentially allow the moisture to be held in. So we don't want evaporation, the pesky evaporation, to get to this container and take all the water out. So I went ahead and took a piece of saran wrap. We're just going to put it over the top. You could take a rubber band. We're just going to make it long enough so the container can sit right on it. So a piece of saran wrap over the top. Hopefully our seeds will germinate, and then we can remove the saran wrap once we see seedlings above the soil. But this will go ahead and get placed in a kind of a cool, dry place, a dark place, and then we will wait and see what happens. So here is our day 0 data. Nothing has grown yet, and we've just planted. Okay, I think that is about it. And then one other quick note on how you can label your things is if you're ever wondering what these useful plastic sticks are for, if you hadn't used the tape, which we used on the front to say mark 10 mils, 50 mils, you could go ahead and take a plastic stick, put it in there and maybe mark this one A and then this one B, so on and so forth. Whatever way is best to label, it's probably more sustainable just to use tape. And that's what I did. I used tape for that reason. Let's see. I think we are all good. So yeah, go ahead and complete part A of the tomato lab, which is discussed in that other video. Do that, and then work on the other stuff for the weekend, guys. All right, have a great day, virtual folks. Bye.